Hello everyone. Was not planning on making this video, but I think we should have a quick conversation about what happened today in the Vitality versus Space Station gaming match. Now, I'm going to start by just showing some of the game, but I'll probably cut out at a certain point just to re-summarize what happened by my, best approximation. Essentially, there was a series of tech pauses for the Vitality and SSG game here at EWC, and in the first and the third game especially, we saw the SSG players of Scribbles, Reveal, and Kofer, coached by Xpeer, basically going AFK or being completely uninterested in playing or trolling. This isn't the first time we've seen these players do this, like trolling or going AFK on a match, and we'll talk a little bit more about what I think about that, but that's effectively part of it. There is also some additional context that I think is important to look at, but I think as a community we needed to have a conversation about how do we expect esports or our Rocket League esport athletes, what sort of standard is what's healthy behavior and sportsmanship at this level, and how does that change for effectively children who are playing the game? I mean, we're talking about 16, 17-year-old young men. I don't know however you want to say it, and what is a good what's a good standard to hold people to, knowing that this is a game that people dedicate their lives to and feel very passionately about. Before I go too into the details here, I'm going to let the game keep playing out. I would definitely want to make it known that I'm not a pro player, not close to being a pro player, lucky to be champ 1 most days, so I don't come at this from any sense of entitlement or experience in these situations. I can say that who I am now versus who I was at 16 years old is a different person. I'm the same. A lot of my principles are the same, and those things haven't changed too much. But I'll definitely be the first to admit I have thrown games. I've raged at video games. I've even, broken things because of my anger. And so I can imagine that, when you're at that level of pressure and that age, those are, for lack of a better term, those are a lot of big emotions to be experiencing. And you're not just experiencing them in your own bedroom in a ranked game of Rocket League, you're experiencing them in front of the world in a crowd. And I think that also can compound the emotional pressure, because not only do you feel bad because of what has happened to you, but now you're probably feeling some sense of embarrassment or shame because that happened to you in front of other people. Now, I think, that being said, that's the grace side of, I think, what we need to extend to these players, and not just SSG, but really most Rocket League players. Many of them are under 18. I also don't think for, this emotional development, there's a hard line at 18. I think Reveal is 18 years old, so he's, legally an adult, but also, 16, 17, 18, you're still very much developing your mindset and dealing with these sort of high pressure situations, and the mental health aspects of playing professional esports, or really any level of sports or competition. As you can see here, the game's actually relatively close with half of it left. It's 4-2 Vitality to SSG, so there's really no reason to tilt out, but I think this is where you start seeing it get more out of control. And I think the first thing we can do is pause this and come back to it later. Let's look at the coaches' reactions, because I think Xpeer is probably the most important person to focus on in this game, because coaches in Rocket League really don't get that much heat, in my opinion. People are very focused on the players, which makes sense. Whereas in professional sports outside of esports, the focus is very much on what coaches are doing because they're calling the strategy of what's happening. So there's a little bit of a disconnect there between esports, specifically Rocket League esports. So Xperia says, between taking 2 hours to fix a problem, so that was the tech pause piece of it, and the medical assistance one of the players had to get in between. That was Kofer, I believe. We'll double confirm that with his tweet. The fatigue just built up, and combining that and a 5-6 goal lead, everyone just kind of gave up. Embarrassing. Something that should never happen. I'm sorry. To me, that seems relatively genuine. I can understand once you're down 6 goals, it's like, okay, we're not getting that back in 3v3. 2 hours after that, he does say, just quickly before bed, I want to apologize to the Vitality roster and their fans. Definitely something out of our control happened, but that doesn't excuse us from disrespecting them in any sort of way. We are competitors and we have standards which I failed to maintain. So I think this is a genuine, I really don't have much of a bone to pick with this response. I do think ideally there was more he could have done in that situation to make sure his players didn't start trolling for this. Kofer said, let's see. He's responding to Scribbles and Reveal, but he says, not defending what we did since it was wrong, but mid-technical pauses I had medical issues and EWC employees were asking to take me to a clinic to get checked up because I needed it, but I told them I was okay just to finish playing out the series, but no one hears this part of the story. So that's the extra stress on top of whatever that situation is. I don't have any insight, nor will I speculate whatever that medical issue was, but it was serious enough that it affected his ability to play the game. And an hour after that, he said, I'm sincerely sorry for the actions I did today. It was really immature of me for giving up early, and there's nothing to excuse it, and I let down a lot of people. I should have acted my age. I'm truly sorry. He's 18 years old. Scribbles, the younger player, I guess he's 15. I thought he was like 16 or 17, but he's 15. He said, embarrassing by me. Can't even make excuses. Sorry to my team, my organization, Vitality, and the fans. Short, sweet, seems like a genuine apology to me. And then Reveal says, feel like we failed ourselves. Sorry to everyone. We shouldn't have gave up on the final game. There are no excuses for it. So, yeah, I think it's definitely, we can look at this and say this is objectively bad. I can look at their responses and say I think these were genuine. I think there's genuine regret that they did it this way. I think this is a thundercloud that's going to sit on top of SSG as this roster and potentially this organization. People are going to associate this 16-2 game with this roster, which is unfortunate because this is a really talented group of young players who are expected to kind of take and represent NA at the next for the next couple of years. So they're all still kind of young. Monkey Moon hits a trolling tweet. 16-year-old players already not motivated to play the game at this point. They will retire before me. LMAO, GG's 3-0 exclamation point. I think he's kind of playing the heel there. Not too much to read into it for that. But let's keep playing this and maybe talk about it a little bit more. I didn't want to make this video too long, but here I am kind of rambling on. I want to, hear the community's thoughts on do you think there should be any penalty or ban or anything like this for EWC? Now, this is EWC. It's not RLCS. These are different organizations. They just are the same top level Rocket League pro players. So do you think EWC should do something about this situation, such as forcing them to forfeit tomorrow's games? Or, I don't know if people are even going to watch this before the day 2 event. Do you feel like they should do something, or is the punishment of losing 16-2 and getting embarrassed just enough of punishment? I'm kind of leaning towards that. I think, to me, this is one of those cringe things that these guys are going to have for the rest of their life, just like we all have. There's things I can think of that I did in high school that were cringe that if I think about them when I'm trying to fall asleep, I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe I did that. So I'm definitely erring on the side of giving these guys a little bit of extra support and making sure they don't get piled up on. From what I can tell, everyone already feels really bad about it, and this was a good learning opportunity for them that had to happen in front of 100,000 people, right? And it's really unfortunate that it happened. I like that they take ownership of it. They're not projecting it too much. There's also the other elements of, Kofor having some medical situation or issues, and maybe that is related. We don't know what that's related to. Here it's going 6-2. I think this is kind of the point where you really start seeing them just kind of be like, you know what? Minute 43, game 3 of a best of 5. We're down 6 goals. Who cares? And this is kind of the painful piece of it. Just as a note, I've got it muted because I feel like with the caster audio, it's not as easy to talk over it. So sorry about not having the game audio. You can see that they were sitting AFK in the goal right there. So I'm not going to play too much of this beatdown because I think this is a good spot to wrap the video. Would love to hear what you guys think. What is your opinions? Should we cut them some slack? Should there be some form of punishment? Should the organization come out and make some sort of announcement? Obviously, we've heard from the coach and the players. I don't think I saw anything from SSG, but if I'm the owner of SSG, I'm really unhappy about how these players represented my organization. If I'm EWC, I'm feeling pretty salty because this was a match that people were excited to see. You can see Kofor's just flopping around in the goal right there. Scribbles is playing backwards. They're kind of playing, kind of not. They all kind of equally guilty at different points here. I don't know if it's really worth pinpointing, like saying who gave up first or something like that, but I do think, this is a good life example. You see one of your teammates that you're on a team with, not like a random teammate, because there's some people that on Rocket League you could never convince them to take it seriously. But yeah, here you can see they're just kind of, well, that was a great shot that went bar down. That was just going to be tough to save, but at this point it's 9-2, a minute left. And can't only blame them so much for not caring at this point. Obviously, they should have handled it better. Coach should have handled it better in the situation too. I think I actually put most of the blame on the coach over the players here, because that's like a team culture thing. As you can see, reveals AFK right there, and Vitality is just kind of running the score up rather than stooping down to this level and kind of just like letting the ball roll across the pitch. I also have zero context on if they ask for a forfeit, but the event organizers wouldn't give it to them. So I don't know if they tried to forfeit in chat, but they said, sorry, no forfeiting. I don't know if that was also the case. That's purely speculation. So yeah, they're going to go on to score 4 more goals here at the end. I think we can cut the video. Thank you so much for watching. Please let me know your thoughts, your opinions. And remember, at the end of the day, we are just fortunate to play a cool game and get to watch some amazing talent do just that. Have a good night, and we'll see you for the rest of the EWC matches. Bye.